chat box for your questions. Okay. Um, as mentioned here, no matter where they work, employees are always responsible for their own performance and should be held accountable for their work. No? Confusing your responsibility to direct and develop employees with policing day-to-day behavior is of no benefit to anyone, least all of you. No? As I've always mentioned, there's a difference between micromanaging, undermanaging, and effective managing. Okay, so make sure that you're properly managing the employees. No, don't overdo it and don't underdo it. Okay, so that's an important aspect of managing the employees' behavior. Now, some additional considerations for the managers who are present here. No, so watch out for overwork. Okay, make sure the telework advantage does not transform into working everywhere and all the time. Okay, just like yung mga nakikita natin in movies, for example, that you become a slave driver for your employees. No, overwork can result in cost, turnover, and client dissatisfaction. No, when employees have clear boundaries on their time and accessibilities, they can plan ahead and be more efficient. No? Have explicit times where employees are not expected to be checking emails, answering calls, except for emergencies. Make sure that you respect the workers or the employees' time off or downtime, and also just put in your questions during the working time. Okay. Next, provide clear explanations and guide for stakeholders outside of your team, such as customers or suppliers. No? So identify key communication channels, between your team and other departments. No? Ensure that all are informed and supportive about how telework functions. No? And of course, sponsor your telework advancement. Okay, enable the teleworkers to select high-profile or developmental projects that showcases their skills, acknowledge wins, or successful projects by teleworkers, and offer to attend special trainings if available, whether on-site or remote. Okay? Now, I have here, as you can see, the stages of the employee during the transition from previously working from home, working on site, and then working from home. So you have to acknowledge that the morale of the person, could start with some anxiety. Some people might be excited at some point, but they can also be worried about the new working arrangement. So make sure that you are addressing those things. So in this stages of employee during the transition, you can see that as a result of worrying, they can feel threatened. Certain guilts, for example, can happen. Depression could also set in as part of the person's transition from working from home. At some point, there might be hostility. People might be hostile or violent at some point. But what you'd like to happen would be a gradual acceptance, and eventually the person becoming an ambassador for the working from home. Okay, so that is your objective here, of making sure that the transition of the employee from on-site working and then working from home could be from anxiety to becoming an ambassador. So again, those are the transitions that the employee can make. So very important is how you form your message. So the message is the output for analyzing the information. Okay, so the information that you have, okay, the analysis, and then eventually the message. So many conclusions can be drawn from raw information. Okay, make sure that before you come up with the message, the information and the analysis has been done by the manager and by the company. Nothing is more tragic when you send a wrong message to a person or to employees, and really damage their motivation, affect their engagement, affect their motivation. Okay, so the message is again very important. So make sure that the information and the analysis is part of creating your message. Okay, so make sure that when you talk to your employees, keep the storyline. Have a key message. Okay, have a storyline of three. Now, why having a storyline of three is important? I think the reason for that is that most people tend to remember three things immediately at one time. Okay, three is very easy to remember. Just like phone numbers, for example. If you try to recall phone numbers, it's easy to remember the first three digits of a number, a telephone number. No? Three, make it easy to understand the link, of what you're trying to say. No? And then additional points, expose for being attacked the weaker argument. No? So again, come up with a key message for that matter. So in communicating with impact, make sure that you have a centralized communication. Okay, two-way is the best way. Two-way communication is always effective. Okay, communicate with employees. Okay, keep employees' mind at ease and provide hope. No? Ayan. Establish cadence as well to them. And of course, contextualize information. So here is what to say, no, during the COVID-19. Okay, state the facts about what's happening right now. Try to demystify the fear, that you're really doing something. Promote safety steps. No? Describe the impact of the company, of how you're being affected. Summarize the company's position, and then articulate the work from home policy. That's very important for you. Okay, so again, tailoring your communication message is an important aspect. No? So here are some suggestions for you. No? If you have a key question, okay, regarding the current crisis. Okay, and of course, make sure that you prepare the leader for the difficult time here. So very important here is to follow the principles of empathy, no, having involvement, sharing, support, no, and then esteem. So those are important things to maintain during difficult times and also communicating to employees. Now, let me shift this time uh, some guidelines for the teleworkers. So how could teleworkers or employees this time excel at what they're doing? So here are some tips and guidelines that I'd like to share with you. Okay. So for those who are going to telework, here are things to remember since you're now be shifting or transitioning to telework. Okay. So first is to optimize your workspace. Okay. Number one, maintain clear boundaries between your work and home spaces. Okay. Invest in some furniture that will keep you comfortable throughout the workday. No? If possible, you can also request the company to even provide some furnitures for you, probably a table or a chair if you can, if the company can provide that. No? Number three, use headphones to minimize distractions. Okay, so that's very important. Number four, consider data privacy and equipment security. No? And don't forget, do not drive and telework. That's very dangerous. Okay. Optimize communication methods and technology. No? Develop contingency plans for your short meetings. No? Use instant messaging for and status indicators. No? Check if your organization's phone call is working. Okay. Use electronic calendars, no? If possible. Don't multitask during teleconferences. As much as possible, focus on what you're being asked to do. No? And then, of course, use video conferencing whenever appropriate. Okay. Ayan. So those are ways to optimize your communication methods. No? Now, with regards to wellness, no, set up routine for the employee for eating and taking breaks. Okay, make sure that you know when to eat the right time and also when to take breaks. Okay, take breaks also from computer every now and then. No, one thing that's common right now for us is a sedentary lifestyle. That means that we're all sitting down. No? So if you can work standing up and then focusing yourself on the computer, much better. No, standing up is better than sitting down for a long time, especially in terms of working with a computer. No, number three, have proper nutrition and hydration. Make sure that you have water and things that are available for you during your telework. No? Number four, establish a daily habit to transition from work from home. No, because obviously this is not something very usual to us. So you need to have some daily habits, no, that you are doing to maintain your wellness. So again, how do we make work from home work for us? No? So I offer four main things or sources for efficiency. No? One is in terms of structure. Second is in terms of people. Third is in terms of process. And fourth is in terms of technology. Okay, so let me talk a little bit more about the first one, structure. No, so having the structure of your outcomes, your communication, um, uh, talking about your goals is an important part of structure. No? Second, on terms of the people, make sure that you are invested in the people that you have. Leadership is also present, no, in terms of the work from home. With regards to processes, make sure that there is a clear work processes specifically for work from home, not necessarily the on-site or yung the usual on your office. No? And of course, technology. Technology has always been an important element for working from home because without it, no, it would not be successful if there's no effective technology. Now, the other thing that I'd also like to emphasize here is on the part of the employee well-being. Okay? Because obviously, some of your employees might be shouting they need help. Okay? So some of you might be encountering when you return back to work after this quarantine that some people might be needing help from you as employees. So how can we try to focus on the well-being of your employees? So let's look at the different aspects. No, so looking at the physical aspect. No, in terms of the physical, no, try to remind employee to engage in regular physical activity. No, if at all, do some exercising. Provide also some information relevant to health, no, to prevent them or to cure if they have some illnesses or sickness. Okay, the second is inclusivity. Okay, make sure that you set time for virtual team meetings more often. Okay, scheduled fixed time meetings with them. Okay, for working practices, provide some ergonomics or self-check. Okay, make sure that you have fixed working time and breaks so that the person will not be exhausted. For the financial, set a financial well-being online session. No, ask the person, no, do they have debts? Are they finding it hard to manage their money? Okay, so that's part of the well-being of the person. And of course, emotional. No, if possible, offer some access to third-party counseling. No, I think one of the things that will happen right now will be there will be a lot of counseling, third-party counseling providers because of the crisis that we have right now. So avail of that if you can as a company. Make sure that you offer that to your employees if they need so to process emotional issues. Okay, so be respectful and empathetic to your remote coworkers. Okay, understand what each person is dealing with at home. No, make sure that you also stay in touch with them daily. Okay, and of course, make it safe for them to ask for help from you if you're the manager. Also, be forgiving. No, be patient. No, and let them feel that it's okay not to be perfect. Okay, and of course, don't forget to have fun because research has shown that teleworking could be more successful if people put inject humor and fun into it. Okay, so don't be all too serious about teleworking. Make sure that you crack jokes and have fun every now and then as part of teleworking. Okay, now how to stay on target if you're the teleworking employees. Okay, make sure that you plan how you use your time. Okay, number two, make sure that you know you check on the distractions that you have. No, make sure that you plan for the distractions. So like children or other work, for example, domestic responsibilities. You have to take note of that. No? Also, look at priorities based on importance rather than urgency. Okay, what are the importance priorities that you have in the work? No? Number four is recover from distraction. So if you're really distracted, no, ask from the manager or ask from the company that I take a sick leave. You can do that, no, as part of working from home. So if you're really distracted. Number five, do you usually need to work longer than expected to achieve what you had planned? Okay, so you can talk this with your manager. Of course, manage your relationships with your families and friends. Before starting working from home, inform your family and friends about your regular working time, your break times, of which you can invite distractions. Okay, the list of emergencies that warrant breaking into your work days. Okay, or non-verbal signals when you are off and on duty. No? Also communicate with others who are sharing your space with in the house. No? What are appropriate music and TV volume levels? No? What is acceptable for you? if you work in a room, whether it's open to pass through, no, and spend time. Di ba? Madalas nakikita natin na if you're using Zoom, people are passing through. No? Is that okay for the company? No? And then, of course, managing work and childcare responsibilities is part of managing your relationship with families and friends. So these are things that you need to set up if you're teleworking. No? Next is managing your relationship with your manager. No? Be proactive with your manager if you're the teleworking employee. No? Establish a method for updating your manager on your progress. Make sure that you're assertive enough to tell the manager, this is what I'm working on, this is my progress. Okay. Number 3, determine how and where your manager will give feedback on your updates. No? And then, of course, ask your manager, what are their expectations from you if you're the teleworking employee? No? Now, if a sensitive situation emerges, avoid email discussions and directly call the person involved. No? Be ready for unexpected phone calls during working from home. No? Because, again, this is an emergency situation, so be prepared for it. Okay? Make the effort also to describe your success and challenges with your manager. No? When on site, make sure to schedule in-person meetings. No? If you're allowed to go to work, for example, directly on the office, make sure that you spend time talking to your managers and to the other departments that you have to collaborate with. Okay, that is your time. Okay, number 9, remember that your work can still be disrupted by unexpected and important issues. So make sure that you are managing your expectations. Number 10, keep in mind that your manager has a work-life balance. So ibig sabihin nito number 10, no? Intindihin mo rin that your manager might also experiencing some issues. Okay? Baka pareho lang kayong may mga issues also. So you need to balance off that as well. Okay, number 11, consider using a project management software. This is something that you really need to consider. Make sure that the company or you echo to your company, let's try to make use of a project management software. Okay? Now, how about relationships with your colleagues and clients? Okay? Number 1, remember your teammates are also affected by your telework schedule. We are all affected, as they say. Number 2, if possible, schedule business lunches or coffee meetings to catch up with them. Okay? If you can already, under the general quarantine, for example. Number 3, manage your reputation for availability, to make sure colleagues and managers are perceived that you are available. Because, of course, you'd want to have the reputation that even if you're working from home, you are available for meetings. Okay? That you can be available for phone calls. So that's an important aspect to take note. And, of course, give people, number 4, give people time to adjust to the new situation or to the new normal. Okay? So, again, those are ways to manage your relationship with your colleagues and clients. And last few slides, take note of your professional development. Look at your professional development plan. What are trainings and conferences that you'd want to attend? Probably the online conferences. So allow the company to actually know about it. What are assignments that or projects that you'd want to take on as a result of working from home? Okay, who are the people that you would like to be introduced in the company? So that's part of your professional development. Or what are some positions you'd like to be promoted in the future? So these are things that you would like to consider as part of your professional development. And finally, make sure that you also consider the common emotions that you will be experiencing while working from home. And two of the most common emotions that you will be experiencing would be isolation, and of course, the fear of being out of sight and out of mind. Okay, so those are the things that we will be experiencing moving forward right now. So these are possible emotions or issues that your employees might be sharing with you as you move towards the new normal. Okay, so at this point, I will stop for a while and I will try to first look at some of the questions that you might have. So I will be responding to some of the questions that you have posted in the chat box before we go to further to some of our questions and to some of our announcements. Okay, so a question from Art. So he says, what happens if there is a brownout, telephone disconnection, or internet connectivity downtime in the employee's home for the whole day? Is the employee considered absent? Okay, does he have to make up by working overtime? Okay, again, all of this will be part of your guidelines. Okay, so you need to make sure that you can check with the person whether the person has a stable internet connections, no, or are there brownouts during that time. No, that's why the person wasn't able to really go directly to your video conferencing. No? If at all, establish some procedures. No, for example, if they have brownouts, no, let the person probably call somebody like a team leader or the manager or the office through a telephone. No, if it's really brown out. Yeah. So um, with the question, is the employee considered absent? That's part of your guideline. So you can set whether the person will be considered. Kasi if meron siyang effort to be able to still work, I don't think that the person should be considered absent. No? So remember, you have to show empathy and also flexibility for that person. Okay, another question. If the employee is sick and couldn't work 100% productively, can I compel the employee to take an SL? Okay. Yes. Having sick leaves, for example, and if your assessment says that okay, I think the person needs to call in sick, then encourage the person to actually go through sick leave in that case. Okay. Another question. What if your staff is not delivering the results despite frequent follow-ups? Okay, frequent follow-up calls, but no response. Okay, one of the things that you also need to establish as part of this working from home, one of the policies, no, that I suggest that you consider is your code of discipline. Your code of discipline is something that you can still use. Okay, if the person is appearing to be not responsive in this case, you can trigger disciplinary process. Give them time to explain, for example, and if they're not responding, then you can go through some form of warnings, coaching, for example, or if need be, suspension if it goes to that extent. No, if you can suspend. No? But definitely, you can still address disciplinary issues regarding performance, no? Because in the Philippines right now, aside from yung ating telecommuting law, no, which I discussed last week, no, we also have what they call the electronic evidence law, meaning that you can serve notices to your employees through emails, no, and emails are considered to be electronic evidence, no. It's a proof that a person has received notices to the person. So if the person refuses na, oh, I didn't receive it, or an alibi na I wasn't able to check my emails and all, that is not acceptable because emails are already considered electronic evidences as part of the disciplinary process. Okay. Other questions are some worksheets to monitor productivity. I'll try my best to be able to share that either at the Talent Reach page, no, or we can also give you some links or samples when you receive the copy of this PowerPoint presentation. So we'll try to include there what are some possible links that you can check out for the project management softwares and also the sample worksheets. No, so I'll try my best to be able to include that as part of our service right now for you as our listeners to this uh, work from home. No, so just to also segue to another thing that I'd like to mention about what's next for us. No, next week, no, let me just make this quick announcement that the next series for this particular program that we're running as a free webinar, next week we're going to discuss the issue response. No? What are the post-pandemic strategies that we're going to use, no, for HR? How do we cope with the new normal? So that will be discussed more next week. No? So for those who are following this series, no, so I'd like to encourage you or your friends to be able to consider attending next week's seminar. Same day, Wednesday, May 20, 2020, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Okay. Also, at this point, I'd like to also let you know that Talent Reach is an HR consulting company, and we are open to online consultancy services. No? So our basic services starts at the basic levels. Here are the provisions for engaging us as your consultants. Okay, so you may want to consider. So let us know through email if you would like us to serve you better. And these are things that we can work on. No? And also, for the professional packages for consultancy, we are also providing some online consultancy packages, including here. So the price is here also, but I'm offering some discounts for some people right now. Okay, so we will be sharing this in our Google form in our page, no. And also, let me also make this major announcement, no, because I have written a book which is called the HR Compass, no, and it has been released since last year, no. So the HR Compass is my publication for how to set up the 7 steps for starting your HR department. No? So this coming June, I will be creating a master class for the HR Compass, a special edition for the post-pandemic program for SMEs. This will be starting on June 2020. So watch out for this through your Google Forms. Okay, so now for further connection, if you'd like to get in touch with us, I'd like you to consider looking at our email addresses, our Facebook page, our website, and also our phone numbers at this point in time. Okay, so again, if you have questions that you might want to ask at this point, I will be more than glad before we reach our 1 hour 1 hour mark, no, for this particular webinar. Okay. Okay, good question. No? So is the book available in PDF? Yes, we will be making this available in PDF with a special edition. Okay, because we're working on the special edition right now to adapt to our pressing times. No? So we will be letting you know about it. Okay. So again, just to announce to everyone that the materials will be sent to you. Just click on the Google, sorry, the link for the Google Forms, and then we will directly send it to your email. No? So we are more than glad to be able to share the materials that we have prepared for you, and hopefully it will impact your company or your organizations. Okay. So again, please share the learnings that you've had through this webinar this afternoon. Encourage other people to join us for our next webinar next week. Again, May 20, 2020, still 4 to 5 p.m. Webinar using Zoom and also Facebook through Facebook Live. Okay, so in behalf of Talent Reach, we would like to again and express our gratitude to everyone who stayed on with the program. And I hope you have learned a lot of things right now. And if you feel that you have learned a lot of things, so kindly send us a thumbs up, no, so that we can see that you have appreciated our program for today. No, so so thank you very much for the thumbs up for those people who have stayed on for this program. No, so and also share your reviews about participating in this short webinar in Facebook, no, so that other people will also know how to get in touch with us. So again, if you have further questions, just contact us through this email address, and we will be more than glad to serve your questions or your needs. So with that, we close down our session for this afternoon. So stay safe, stay positive, and see you in the new normal.